Hey there, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing a video on my top 10 favorite notes, and then I've chosen a fragrance per note to kind of give you guys an idea of what it could possibly smell like, and then I'll let you know, what I like about each note. This is actually a video idea I got from Abby with Love, so I will link her video in the description box below. I really liked this idea and her and I chatted, so I thought I would do my own version of this. It was very, very difficult choosing top 10 notes. At the end, I'll mention just a couple that could have been in it as well, but I decided to go with these 10 and we will get started. If you are interested in the order and the 10 I chose, in the description box below, I've put them in order so you can see what's coming up. And if you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it. So I thought I'd best just get it out of the way and address the note that you're all probably suspecting I'm going to talk about anyways, and that is violet. I would say violet is my favorite note. There's a lot of other notes that I think I like nearly as much, and maybe other notes that I like more often in other fragrances, but my favorite note, even if it doesn't always work for me, is violet. And it has been for, I don't know, a lot of my life. I wouldn't say my entire life, but I've just always loved violet from as long as I can remember. Like Parma violet scents and violet candies, violet liquor, like whatever it is, if it's flavored with violet. And it's quite rare. It's not like cherry or, I don't know, lemon or stuff like that comes up often in kind of like food or beverage type stuff, but if it did come up, I remember I was always really excited. So my favorite violet fragrance was, again, hard to find. I just chose fragrances that kind of match that vibe that I thought I would share with you, but I think this is my favorite violet fragrance of all time, and that is Insolence. And I picked the Eau de Toilette because it's the first one from the range I ever owned. I also love the Eau de Parfum, the Eau Glacée. I have my Insolence as well, obviously, but that doesn't match the whole violet theme. But I just picked my first from the range, and that's the Eau de Toilette. This is my favorite way violet can be captured or created in a fragrance, is a candied violet. I love, or like a Parma violet kind of scent. That is my absolute favorite way, because it reminds me of those like Violetta candies that are in Europe and in Spain and stuff, where I was more accustomed to having them, but I know they have them in England as well. I love the way violet smells when it's super candied, and yeah, there's nothing like it in my opinion. It is sort of on its way to being even a little bit grapey, but not in the way that like an orange blossom can get grapey. It smells purple, if that makes any sense. And I just adore it. This is a beautiful fragrance. It's incredibly sweet, as you would expect with a floral that is candied. And violet in its nature is slightly more powdery anyways, and it's definitely powdery in this, but it doesn't have to be. So you can definitely try to find a violet fragrance that works for you. Insolence is not a fragrance that I think is universally equally as loved. It is one of my favorites of all time. I can't imagine ever being without it, but it doesn't encapsulate what violet always smells like. You can definitely get more of an authentic floral violet in something like Blanc Violette from Histoire de Parfum. You can get something like a honeyed violet from the Violette from Molinard. You can get something that's super powdery violet, but that isn't at all candied. You can get a green violet, especially if it's mixed in with violet leaf. So it really is up to you and what your taste is. But for me, more often than not, it's violet's a winner, and a candied violet is my absolute love. Then my second favorite note, or they're in no order, but my number 2 on this list is Iris. And I mean, it kind of falls on the same wavelength of violet in that Iris is also a super powdery floral. It's a light floral, even lighter than violet, I would say, and it can also get kind of makeup-y as well, more so than violet. And those are all three things I absolutely love. Again, I decided to go with, I think, the first fragrance that at least made me realize I was in love with iris. Maybe it wasn't the first I'd ever smelled, obviously, but this is when I was like, okay, iris is in my top 10 for life. And that is Infusion d'Iris, just the iris one from Prada. I have a little mini because I have the set with like 7 or so of the flankers since there's so many, but I went with the original, just the iris, and it's what I've got on today. It's a dabber bottle, which is annoying, but my God, do I love this fragrance. And a lot of iris fragrances that came out after this, I feel like drew a lot of inspiration from the original Infusion d'Iris, because like Athalia, for example, that I love by Parfum de Marly, which is up there. I don't think you guys can see it. That is very similar to this, a little bit more feminine, and I would say even more powdery. Whereas Prada's Infusion d'Iris, I think, is very, very unisex. All the flankers are, but the original is incredibly, like, I think the most safest unisex fragrance. It doesn't lean in any particular way. It's very clean, fresh, irisy, but I know a lot of people that wouldn't be into clean fragrances, or that think that they don't like iris, but that they like this. This is a really safe fragrance, I think, because even if it's not your absolute favorite or your be all and end all, I don't really ever hear anyone not liking this. So I feel like it's a really safe bet, and it's still, you know, stuck around for however many years, and there's a whole bunch of flankers, so that if you're more into mimosa or vetiver or rose or almond, even, I love the almond one, you can kind of pick the flanker versions and they really highlight that particular flower. But iris is an extreme love of mine. Again, I love it in every single fragrance I've pretty much smelled of it that's really highlighted iris, and I think it's even a safer bet for me than violet, because it kind of always, it's a lot safer of a fragrance. It kind of stays more in its powdery, irisy area. It can be changed with the kind of fragrances that it's incorporated in, obviously, but I feel like violet can be a lot of different things. It can be more green, it can be candied and all that stuff, where I feel like iris is a safer bet all in all. But definitely love that, and had to be a part of my top 10. All right, now number 3, I had to have Musk. So Musk is my number 3. I know, as always, all of these are going to be obviously to my taste, but I know that Musk sometimes gets a bad rep, especially I feel like on YouTube, because there's a lot of people that are more so gourmand lovers, and they tend to not like Musk, but I swear you can find the Musk that is right for you. And sometimes people just have like a very preconceived notion of exactly what Musk is, and it can only really fall into one box, and I don't think that at all. There's so many different ways that Musk can fall into. That being said, as a huge Musk lover, my favorite is the clean, powdery, makeup-y Musk. So I don't know if this is my favorite, but this is a very pure Musk type fragrance, so I had to choose the Narciso Poudre. I feel like Narciso Rodriguez in general has a very particular musk. Everyone kind of, once you've, I'll spray it here actually. Once you've owned it or tried them, you'll be able to pick it out. I think it's, even people who aren't super, I don't know, haven't like experienced a lot with fragrance, are kind of new in the fragrance world, this is an easier thing to pick out, I think, the Narciso musk compared to other types of musk. It's just very particular to them and the house, and I love it. It's very powdery, extremely powdery, and it can be a little bit more makeup-y and clean. It can be a little bit more floral if you go with the Narciso Eau de Toilette. It can have a certain kick to it if you go with the Rouge, but in general, it's a pretty powdery, kind of clean musk. Now you can go in a completely different direction where the musk is very like shower, soapy clean, almost like aldehydic. That I know doesn't work for everyone. I love it. I think especially for after shower fragrances or after bath fragrances in high heat, if you're in a climate that's kind of warm year round, if you're somewhere where it's like very humid and you're like sweaty and sticky, that kind of fragrance works really well, like shower, musky, clean fragrances. And then there's a whole other area where musky fragrances can get super animalic and kind of bitter and a little bit more dirty and dark, and maybe that is an area that people don't necessarily explore as much, because now I think in like designer fragrances they don't tend to go in that route as much as niche or indie fragrances. But I think there is a musk fragrance for everyone out there. You just need to find what works for you, and maybe you don't end up owning and loving every single type like myself pretty much, but I think it's a great one and a staple to have in your collection, to have at least one musky fragrance that really gives you that feeling that musky fragrances do, where it's just like a warm hug. It feels like a luxurious scarf. It feels warm and cuddly and slightly clean, or maybe a little bit more dirty and grungy, but it's like fuzzy, and I love musk. Then we move on to number 4, and for me that's jasmine. Again, a very versatile flower. I feel like it can get very obviously indolic, and that's probably the hardest way for people to like it. You kind of have to make sure you're into that, or you can get very bright and authentic and floral. It can get very rich if it's mixed in with like amber and darker notes. So it really depends on how it's formulated, and there were so many jasmine fragrances I could have picked from, because jasmine's quite a nostalgic scent for me. But I decided to go with Gelsomino Nobile by Acqua di Parma, and this is quite an authentic one, I would say. Having had like jasmine plants and jasmine flowers growing up, I really grew accustomed to that scent, and this is quite authentic to the actual jasmine flower scent, where it's a little bit more floral. But what I like about the Nobile range, and I have the whole range, so definitely check out that video if you're interested, is they incorporate citrus and brighter florals with each of the florals that they're kind of highlighting. And I think it just makes it a little bit more, obviously a little bit more Acqua di Parma, but a little bit more wearable and daytime friendly, especially for jasmine, because I feel like jasmine can go in like a beachy daytime fragrance, where it's like mixed in with oftentimes with like tiare flower and coconut, and I love those kind of fragrances. Like Wanderlust Sublime is a great one. I think it's got orange blossom and tiare and stuff, but a lot of beachy fragrances have jasmine in them, but this is not a beachy fragrance, and it's still a really, really beautiful daytime jasmine, super feminine, just light enough, but will last you through the day. And yeah, I really, really love it, and I had to pick it for my jasmine pick. And then 5th is Almond, and I had to have Almond. I could have actually had a bunch of different kind of nut notes, because I really like nutty fragrances, but I decided to go with what I think is my favorite, and that is Almond. Again, incredibly versatile. I feel like Almond can get root beer-like. It can stay very authentic to the actual like almond note. It can get kind of cherry-like, and cherry and almond, those notes are interchangeable in scent sometimes. So it really, again, depends on what you're interested in, and if you're interested in all or just one. But I decided to go with Hypnotic Poison and I've the Eau de Toilette by Dior, because again, I feel like this was the first fragrance featuring almond that made me realize, okay, I'm in love with almond. Since then, I've got so many, at least 10, and they kind of explore different parts. So you've definitely got the root beerish vibes, which this kind of has. It can get a bit medicinal. I have really authentic smelling almonds, which is more like L'Ange Noir by Givenchy, and cherry almonds as well. And yeah, this one's a little bit more powdered. It's a little floral, definitely has a root beer-esque type scent to it, and I think it's got like a mysterious quality to it that I think is even more heightened in the eau de parfum from what I remember. But even the eau de toilette, it's beautiful. I really think that it translates in a way that makes the fragrances always seem intoxicating to me. I feel like when almond is very prominent in a fragrance, it makes the fragrance seem super alluring and intoxicating, maybe a little mysterious, and it can get more powdery and warm, or it can get very strong, but I think it just sets it apart for me personally, especially if it's very, very prominent. And when it's mixed in with florals, like with the Girl of Nows and stuff, I think it just gives it like a richness and a gourmandness that I actually incredibly enjoy. And I feel like people who don't usually like gourmand fragrances would agree that almond is one of those gourmand notes that just is spectacular to have in fragrance. All right, so now the next one, quite a unconventional note, but genuinely, my next one is banana. And I don't have that many fragrances with the note banana. I actually only have 2, but it is genuinely part of my top 10. And I kind of have 2.5, and I would seriously try out way, way, way more. And every one I do have has been an immediate love. And the one I decided to pull out is Vanille Banane by Comptoir Sud Pacifique. I love it. I also love the indie one I've got, which I think is like Copacabana or something like that. Banana Cabana. Love that. The half is Luscious Snow Fairy. It doesn't list banana, but it does smell like banana candy and a little bit like those banana medicines you would get, as does this. I just love the scent of banana candy and super like sweet banana scents, which is weird because as a fruit, really probably one of my least favorite fruits, but as a candy, whenever something would be like flavored banana, I would love it. Like banana taffy, or there's little hard candies, completely adore that. And this has so much of that. It's very sweet and vanilla-like, but the vanilla I think in this is beautiful. And it's quite linear, like it pretty much smells exactly the same from first spray to the base. It gets maybe a little bit obviously more strong in the vanilla in the base than the banana, but it's relatively quite linear of a scent. So I feel like if you like it, you're gonna like it a lot. And if you don't like it and it's not your jam, which again, I don't think this is universally loved, you wouldn't like it from the beginning. But I just really, really love banana in fragrances, and I don't think it's a note that is featured in a lot of scents, and it's not incredibly popular. But if I were to see designer houses or even niche houses kind of embrace that note, it'd be a note that I'd be all over, because I think it's so, so nice and really just, it makes me feel happy. It's like one of the happiest notes I've ever discovered or used. So yeah, love that. Then we've got tea, and I love tea as a note. I have so many tea fragrances, and even in this past year in 2020, I feel like I acquired even more. In general, I feel like I enjoy tea scents the most, kind of in all seasons other than winter, and a little bit less in fall as well. I feel like for me, tea is a lot more spring, summer, because they tend to be brighter, mixed in with citruses kind of fragrances. But I do have some darker, richer tea fragrances that I like in fall. I don't really wear a lot of tea fragrances in the winter time, and if I do, it's just like for me at home. I just don't think they lend themselves as well to super cold winters. But I pulled out one of my favorites because I could have gone really in any direction, and I love Eau Bleu from the Eau Parfumée range of Bulgari. I think it's my favorite from the range, but I haven't tried all of them, and I'm so happy with this that it makes me not even want to try the other ones. And it's a shame because I feel like this is one of the ones that's talked about the least, but I think it's stunning. And some of you picked it up this last year after I talked about it, and everyone who's bought it, who messaged me, really, really liked it. So I completely recommend this. What I like the most about this is I feel like it has a duality to it where there's a lighter, maybe like fruity kind of, I don't want to say green, but like herbal tea scent. And then there's also like a richer, like wet tea leaf scent to it as well. It's also not super citrusy. Tea Azura by Guerlain is really beautiful, but it's very strong on the citrus as well. And I have had people think that it smells like hairspray. It doesn't smell like hairspray to me at all, but I think that's even more restrictive of what kind of time and climate that it works for, where I feel like Eau Bleu is the best of both worlds. You can wear this, again, I would feel like 3 seasons out of the year, I could easily and comfortably wear this. I could wear it in winter as well, but this is a lot more safe of a fragrance to wear in kind of any type of weather, more or less. The only thing I will say is, I think they only come in one size other than if you get the rollerball, these 75 mils, and they're all eau de clones. So the lasting power really isn't there, the projection, all that stuff. It's at an eau de cologne level for sure. I think it performs better than my like European eau de colognes like 4711s, but in general, do not expect this to be the kind of fragrance that takes you through the whole working day and you can go out at night and it's like beast mode. It's nowhere near that, but as a tea fragrance, absolutely stunning and totally recommend. Then we get to Orange Blossom, which I had to include, and this was a really hard one to pick a fragrance for, because even though I'm telling you guys this isn't my favorite, Orange Blossom really is so versatile. I feel like it can get super grapey, which I enjoy. It can often be combined with neroli and petitgrain because they're all from the same plant. Love that. I have a lot more neroli fragrances, honestly, than Orange Blossom, I think. Or maybe they're about the same, but I love my petitgrain ones, and I wanted to make sure it was one that was very distinctly Orange Blossom and that it wasn't kind of like a more oily, bright, citrusy neroli scent, and then it didn't get the way like petitgrain gets where it's kind of like even more citrusy and a little bit green, which I love. So I picked a fragrance which now y'all in the States can pick up still. It's the Zara Emotions range that Joe Malone did with Zara that I picked up around this time last year actually in Portugal, but now it's available in the States, and there's a Fleur d'Oranger one in the line. There's 8 total. Again, I did a full video on that if you want to check it out. And one of them is Fleur d'Oranger, which of course means orange blossom. And this, I was wearing it earlier today when I was prepping. Oh, I just love it. This is a really, really beautiful orange blossom scent. It's simple in that it really does smell like orange blossom, and I don't think she got super creative in putting a whole bunch of notes in there. It's kind of like a 3-note by fragrance, or at least listed notes by fragrance kind of thing. They're very simple, as is her style, but it doesn't smell cheap. It doesn't smell like, I don't know, like one of those $5 fragrances you would get or something that just smell like orange blossom. I feel like there is just enough of intrigue there that makes it smell a lot more expensive than it actually is. I have the 40 ml size over here, but it does come in the rollerball and the 100 ml. So because I wanted one of each of the 8, I got 40 mls in all, and I've really been enjoying it. It's an absolutely stunning orange blossom, and I've loved wearing it both at home and traveling. I really can't say enough good things about that from Zara. All right, so number 9 is Oud, and of course I had to have Oud as one of my notes. I love that note. I have it in many fragrances over many years, and I picked up a whole bunch, especially last year again as well. And it was hard. It was really hard picking one to encapsulate Oud because, again, very versatile, and I feel like this isn't the most wearable of all my Ouds, but it is, I think, again, probably my favorite, at least in the top 3. And that's L'Autre Oud by Maison Lancôme. I have it in the older packaging. This is a very strong, like woody, slightly bitter oud. I don't think it's, while there is some rose and florals in there, it isn't a rosy oud the way that I feel like rosy ouds have just taken over the oud market over the past couple years. And it doesn't smell like your quintessential rosy oud, so I didn't want to pick those, even though I think they're definitely more wearable, and if you haven't gotten into ouds, I would certainly start there. But this is one of my favorites, if not my favorite. It's incredibly strong. It performs so beautifully in cold, snowy weather. It's my favorite time to wear it. It just warms you right up. It's super woody. It's completely unisex. And I just think it really encapsulates everything that I would want from an oudy fragrance in this way. Like one that isn't afraid to just be kind of more bitter and a little bit more mossy and woody, and doesn't have to rely on honey or rose or whatever it may be to make it just more palatable, I suppose. I really, really like this, but again, you should certainly try them out. There's a whole bunch, and I think you can find one that kind of works for you, especially if you haven't tried one before. There are inexpensive ouds from houses like Oscar La Renta, or really super like cheaper ones that you can try out. And obviously then they go into whatever, like incredibly high prices as well, into the thousands. So you just have to find one that works for you. And then finally, last but not least, I had to go with peach. And I know peach is hit or miss for a lot of people. For me, again, like a candied peach or fuzzy peach, peach rings type scent, I love. I always loved peach flavored things. Like peach cocktail was my favorite. Like juice growing up, and peach cocktails now are my favorite alcoholic drink. I just loved it. So there are a lot of peach fragrances that I'm still itching to get, like bitter peach or peach from Demeter, and yeah, there's loads that I would totally want to try. But one that I've loved and I've wanted to get for so long, and I'm so happy that I got it this year, was White Peach and Coriander by 4711, the Aqua Colonia range. This is very much like a peach, a more authentic peach. It doesn't smell as much like peach candy, but it does have an element to that. I feel like it's a little bit more green, a little bit more fresh, slightly citrusy, whereas sometimes peach fragrances can smell like those peach rings and peach candies, which I love that too. And this is kind of like sort of a happy medium, I suppose, but as I've worn it more and more, I feel like it leans a lot more on the fresher, brighter, like really like a white peach, and then the coriander just has like a bit more of greenness to it, but it's not in any way green. I just think it makes it a little bit more bright of a fragrance. So I've loved this. Again, it's an eau de cologne. The lasting power really is not there, nor would I expect it to be, but in terms of like interesting, fun scents, I just adore 4711, and I was so happy to pick this up because this is a super nice way to feature peach. I think Bath and Body Works' Peach Vineyard, or Vineyard Peach that I've got, is a super fuzzy one. It literally, you feel like you could smell like Georgia peaches where they're super fuzzy. So that just has like a different take to it. And yeah, I'm really hoping at one point to get some more peachy fragrances. But yeah, those were my top 10. Again, I was thinking about featuring pistachio. I was gonna feature heliotrope because I've got the most amazing heliotrope fragrance, but I haven't showed it to you guys yet. The haul video hasn't come out yet, so I didn't want to feature it as part of my top 10. I could have featured amber, so many other notes, but I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your top 10 in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.